Every great Dungeons & Dragons game starts in the same place, and today I'm going to show you how to turn your table into the tavern. One of the jobs of the Dungeon Master is to make sure that the players are feeling immersed in their adventure. Today we're going to talk about how to transform your table into a tavern with music, lighting, and even some moving backgrounds. We'll get into it today on Carpe Diem. Hi guys, I'm Jared, and this is the first video of a series that we have of our DMing session where we go through different scenes that you can set up. I do a step-by-step walkthrough on how you can make this scene at your own table. This can cover everything from the very first time DMers all the way up to the expert level, so everybody has something to get out of this video. So the first things first is going to be, how do we control all of this? You can do it all with mouse clicks and have 15 individual programs, but it becomes cumbersome and the players really lose that sense of verisimilitude or of belonging there if you have to spend a bunch of time clicking and dragging and doing all of those things. So the solution that I have for you guys, and there are free options to this, is through Elgato. The Elgato Stream Deck is something that I have learned to absolutely adore and love. It is everything I could digitally want as a DM at the press of a button. One of the best things about this is that you can stack different actions into a single button press with the multi-stack option. You can change the color of the lights, you can change the music, you can even change the backgrounds, bring up files, do all kinds of fun things. The one we're going to use today that I showed off in the intro is this one. This is the tavern button. So let's look into what this tavern looks like and how you can build your own step by step. The first step is to find your touch board, to find the board that you're going to use. My group helped me chip in with this, and this is what we got. This is the Stream Deck Plus. And there's a ton of different buttons that you can use because you can nest them all in different files. These 4 dials down here, they help me control the volume of the various places. We put in some speakers in here, and it's really nice because if I really need a deep, throaty, guttural roar from a dragon, I can increase the bass, or if a song comes on and it's too trebly, I can decrease that. It gives me all the controls here I need at the twist of a knob. It's very, very nice. But what we're gonna cover today are these buttons right here. So if you don't want to spring for a full physical device, they have the free app available on elgato.com. Check it down in the description, there's a link, and you can download it. This is a great use for any of those extra iPads that you may have lying around, or even another screen that you may have. The touch buttons are just incredible. You can even use your phone, which makes it a lot simpler. Let's talk about the most basic thing. These are external monitors that we bought for our table. Let's go ahead and take those off right now. So even if you just have this piece right here and you want to strictly control your music, that's going to be your first step. And there are a couple of ways you can do this. If you have media that you want, for example, I have found that one of the best ways to create atmospherics, if I can't find the perfect playlist on Spotify, is to make my own. If I go through Suno, which is an AI program, I can create 15 or 16 different tracks that sound relatively similar for whatever instruments I need or whatever mood I need. It does a really good job of honing in on nuances, and I can just play that with the press of a button. I load these into a VLC playlist. You could just play it as a media if you want a single song. That's a great place to start. If you have Spotify Premium, I would recommend the Spotify plugin, which is by the guy named Barrator. Everything that Barrator makes is excellent, but that's the big one right there. So make sure you absolutely have that one. It has a few steps on getting it to work. You have to find your developer API, but the instructions are pretty step by step. As long as you follow it step by step, it's not that hard. You just have to copy and paste a couple of keys in there. Once you have it though, at the press of a button, you can have all kinds of playlists come up at different moods. And if you're just starting out, that's a great place to start, just bare minimum. Think about how long you use sifting through and finding the perfect playlists. If you have them all at the touch of your fingers when your players sit down to play, it helps take time away from behind the DM screen and putting you back in front of your players, helping build that immersion as you are able to change the music as the need arises. I have 4 lights in my room. I have a long LED strip that circles the ceiling, and then I have 3 LED lights that are in my bulbs. These bulbs are not expensive at all and can pretty much be found anywhere. You can use Philips Hues or whatever else you use. When my group found out that Govee has one of the best applications that you can use in a Stream Deck, we went ahead and switched over. Govee is not expensive and it's really intuitive as to how it works. This one works natively and you can do it with a single light bulb. Just plug it in, connect to your Wi-Fi, and then connect to the service, and it's pretty simple really. You can combine the 2 actions of both changing the lighting and changing the music. So let's say there's a scene where my players go indoors and they're about to have a conversation inside. I can press this button right here and it says indoor role play. And what it does, it sends a signal to the lights that are up in the room to go to the scene of a candlelight. It gives the room this kind of flickering ambience that really helps out with the mood, especially if I have some role-playing music lists that are already prepared. You can do it when it's a dark nighttime. Okay, we've got lights and we've got music. Let's add another layer to this. This time, we're gonna add sound effects. Okay, so you've got your first 2 levels down. You've got your tavern music as a jumpin' jolly jive, and you've got the lighting just about set perfect for a candlelight dinner for 2. Now, let's keep adding to that. This seems like a pretty empty tavern because, well, there's no noise going on. This is when you can start adding ambience and playing additional files on top of the music you're already playing. You can loop these and it's really, really easy. All you have to do is have a file that has the sound effect that you want. I would recommend doing longer sound effects because if you have a single clinking cup that you want to play, it will play it on repeat over and over again unless you do some weird loop, and just don't worry about that. I get all my sound effects through Elgato because I already have a subscription program, but there are tons of free sound effect websites out there that you could probably scoop up a couple. This is really easy. All you have to do is use the play file option that's in there, put it below the other 2, and then whenever you play that, make sure you adjust it to where it says loop instead of stop start right here. There you go. And then once you've got that and you press your button, you now have sound effects. The open file command is really powerful because not only does it do sound effects like what we're doing right now, but you can also open up images, you can open up documents, you can open up all different kinds of things that are on the table for your players. If you have a screen facing your players, that's a great way to share information with them and have that quickly move around. If you wanted to, you could set up different profiles for different characters within the tavern. Keep the lighting, keep the same music, keep the same sounds, but every time you press a button, it opens the file that has the image of a different character that you wanted to use. That way, as a DM, you're not searching through folders. Instead, you're pressing buttons and role-playing with your characters. Okay, let's keep going. Let's keep adding immersion here. So one of the things we've invested in are a couple of more screens that my players can have. These are attached by these magnetic backgrounds so that I can take them, move them, do whatever I need to do. We've had players that couldn't make it before, and so we use these screens as not Skype, right? Who uses Skype? We've had players that have not been able to make it onto the table for our physical games, but they still are able to call in, so we can take these screens and make them vertically, and they can basically FaceTime in and play with the rest of the group. It's really interesting. But for right now, we're just gonna go ahead and put these things on. Okay, what we have here, these are background screens. These are very much superfluous. They are not required in any way. I like to use these 2 screens as kind of information sets. There's a lot of information that we can put up there. Since we use D&D Beyond, we have a little initiative tracker from one of the plugins. I'll make another video about how to do that later on, but this allows my players to see different things. I can also put different monsters, I can put stat blocks, I can put all the information I want up here while still keeping the map down below. Now you may notice that there's some subtle movement on there, and it's a very nice way to kind of have those. There's lots of different options. Things like this I like to use whenever we have combat or anything that allows us to kind of get into what's going on. I use a thing called Wallpaper Engine on Steam. It's actually an application that they sell. It's really, really cheap, and it has a really large library of different things that you can just freely download and grab. A lot of these are pretty cool, and I feel like it adds just a touch of things to our game. I've also had it to where I've been able to animate some of the backgrounds images that I've been able to create, and I can put them in there on my own as well. What's great about Wallpaper Engine is that it also works with the same switch. So if I press this button, it switches it back over to the Tavern Scene. So as you can see, you can combine all of these different actions to transform your entire room into a tavern with just a single button press. Now, obviously, the possibilities of using the Elgato Stream Deck for your D&D game are endless. This is just one of the examples I like to have. To help you better build your first scene, down in the comments below, I've got everything that you need for this. First of all, for the music, I've got links to a couple of Spotify recommendations I would give that are available on that platform. If you're like me and you've got a bunch of players who play the same video games you do and they're all of a sudden, oh, that's The Witcher! And sometimes when a song is too familiar, you get kind of pulled out of whatever you were doing and moved into the place that you know it from. So that's not really fair. If you don't mind using AI for something you wouldn't pay creators to make in the first place, I have included a small playlist of several different songs that I made through Suno that fit this tavern site perfectly. If you like what you see on here and you see some of the lighting that you may want to purchase, I've got links for that down from the Elgato store down low. I also have links for a Stream Deck if you're so inclined to look through that. Any purchases you make through those links just helps the channel out a ton. And then finally, I've got a link to the wallpaper engine I use for the backgrounds of these. I've got a video coming up on how I set up this 6-screen setup that I use for D&D, and it's just flawless in how it runs every time. I want to be able to share some of the tips and tricks I've learned because Windows does not natively host 5 screens. So there's all kinds of technical hurdles that you have to overcome. Watch out for that video in the next coming weeks. But for now, guys, I really want you to go ahead and enjoy that tavern scene that you've set up. If you have any questions or any suggestions down in the comments, I would love to hear them and kind of keep this series going. So the next time you guys have a campaign, I hope that your players are immersed as you have transformed your tavern at your D&D table. I'm Jared from Carpe Diem, and I'll meet you at the tavern.